After a serious collision, you expect your insurance company to treat you with the respect and dignity you deserve, but for some reason they're dragging their feet and denying your claim every step of the way. That's not right. I'm Brian Goldfinger of Goldfinger Personal Injury Law. When you've been involved in a serious collision, my law firm is there when you need the help the most. Visit goldfingerlaw.com and get us working for you.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Raptors Weekly Podcast. I'm your fill-in host, William Liu. Zarar is busy today, so I'm taking over. And what we have on our hands is a undefeated Raptors team. They're 3-0, just like the Golden State Warriors. And joining me to talk about this juggernaut Raptors team is Andrew. How you doing, Andrew?
I'm doing good, Will. The birds are out of the nest. We're doing this without Zarar. The Raps are 3-0.
That's right.
It's crazy.
There's gonna be a lot of swearing. Before we start, actually, I went to the game today, so we're recording this on the Sunday night after the Raptors smacked Graves Vasquez and the Milwaukee Bucks, and I was at the game, and while I was in line, I was talking to a buddy of mine who I went to the game with, Harsh Dave, who, if you're on Twitter and stuff, you know, Harsh is one of the Raptors HQ guys, good dude. I was talking to Harsh. Standing in line, and a guy turned around. He was like, "Are you William Liu?" And I was like, "Yes." And it turns out he's a devout listener to the podcast, and he recognized me by voice. So
you got noticed. Whoa!
That's right. I got noticed for the voice, which is definitely a first. And shout out to Suspicious Mind, who is in the comments. So yeah, the Raptors are 3-0, and they just wrapped up a 19-point rout of the Milwaukee Bucks. It's a very impressive win. They kind of just had the lead for the whole game and just basically kept a 10-point lead throughout most of the game. Got a little bit hairy in the fourth quarter, but starters came back in. They pushed it out back to a blowout. I don't know, Andrew. What are your thoughts from this Bucks game?
This is the first game this year that I watched that made me feel like this is a good team. Like the other wins are like that. It's great to come out with the win, and there were parts that looked good and parts that didn't. But this one was a very well played game for pretty much. I mean, unless you were Bismack Biyombo standing 6 inches away from the rim, it was a very well played game. The team is really starting to click as far as getting a feel. The three starting wing guys are sort of getting a feel for where they are. Jonas is really looking comfortable.
I had to stop flash across my mind as the game was playing, and at no point did I ever feel like the game was in doubt. Like I didn't think the Raptors were ever going to lose this game, and it's just weird that I can have this kind of confidence about the Raptors, and I guess that speaks to the fact that this is actually a good team. And when a team like Milwaukee, who, you know, they're on the way up, but they're still working some things out. They're a young team. They changed their team a lot in the offseason. They could still be good, but right now they're a young team, and quite frankly, it's a game the Raptors should win. And the Raptors just kind of like quietly and confidently just went about their business. Game was never really in doubt, and that's just like a mark of a good team.
Even when they were winning a lot of games last year, they didn't always look like they were the smarter team playing. They didn't look like the team that was making the better choices all the time, that was just executing a better scheme. A lot of the times it was they were hitting shots, they were getting foul calls, Lou Will was doing ridiculous things, or Lowry was carrying them, or, you know, things were just sort of panning out, or they would claw their way back. And tonight it looked kind of like those early season Atlanta Hawk wins last year. Like not nearly that level that the Atlanta hit, but just in the sense that they're a team that just looks like they're executing a much better thought out plan in a more intelligent manner than their opponents.
Right. And, you know, the Bucks game is definitely the best game. I mean, they won all 3 games this week, which is obviously tremendously positive. But one of the things I guess they improved on the Bucks game is that they cut the turnovers down. So in the first 2 games, they had 21 turnovers, and then this game, only 13 turnovers, and that's against the Bucks, who thrive. Their defense thrives off, being aggressive, getting steals, making these traps, and then getting points in transition like that.
Yeah, the Bucks starters have 12 arms.
Yeah, exactly. Giannis has 4 arms, if you guys didn't know. Yeah, and, you know, the Raptors did a great job of taking care of the ball. I thought Lowry and DeRozan played really well, just like very calm, steadying presence for the offense as a whole. One point that actually stood out to me a lot was the play of Jonas. I thought he was the best player of the game, even though they have this BioSteel player of the game that they give out while the fans are trying to leave. as quickly as possible.
Is there
And they,
controversy in who got it?
yeah, they gave it to Patrick Patterson,
For
which,
shame.
he had a good game. He had 16 points off the bench, hit a couple big threes, but I thought Jonas was just great all night long. The rebound numbers look a bit down, but the Raptors didn't really have a problem with defensive rebounding at all, so that wasn't an issue. And on offense, he just kind of completely dominated the Bucks interior defenders. Yeah, Jonas ended up with what do you end up with? 19 points in 29 minutes, 8 rebounds, 7 of 12 shooting, and plus 21. So I don't know. What do you think of Jonas so far?
He was assertive. Like he's more confident in his decision making. Like he's still even there was one play tonight where he got double teamed in the post and he threw the ball out to the weak side corner for a 3. Like that's something we just didn't used to see from him very often. Or when we would see him try it, he would be trying to jump around the second guy and get the pass out of there because he'd waited too long to do that. He is confident in his shot. We saw a little bit of the non-juke pump fake, and he did the nonsense pump fake, then immediately shot it afterwards on a jumper.
He hit that jumper, though.
He hit that jumper. He's more confident in deciding to take the shot when he's got it. He's getting the ball a little bit lower in the post, and he was just abusing Monroe, and especially the oh no, this is the part where I forgot the name of the tall white guy from Duke who has a brother.
Miles Plumlee.
Miles Plumlee, thank you.
Yeah.
He was embarrassing the lesser Plumlee brother. Just if he tried to take him in, if he was leaning on him inside, he would just spin out and just whatever side that they were bringing the defense from, he was just turning the other way and scoring. It was pretty easy for him, and he did a good job guarding Monroe as well. It was impressive. It's kind of what we had hoped to see from him.
Yeah, for sure. Especially after giving him the big money extension. Yeah, I mean, like you said, Jonas looked really positive. Actually during the warm-ups, just when they shoot the ball around before the game actually starts, Jonas pulled out this like spin move on the baseline that was like super tight, and like he like basically took off with 1 foot on one side of the lane and then like landed on the other side and had done like this spin reverse layup, and I was like, whoa, I've never seen Jonas this agile before. And like he didn't pull it out in the game or anything, nor should he really. But it's really cool that Jonas. I mean, he does look better, and I guess we'll get to this shortly, where we have this like most improved or most promising player right now through the Raptors and through 3 games. And yeah, Jonas is definitely one of them because you saw a lot more maturity from him in the post. Like you said, he's got the counter if they overplay the spin jump hook towards the middle, and quite honestly, he's just really strong, man. Like Greg Monroe just could not hold him. Like Greg Monroe is a big dude, and Jonas's upper body strength, like he's just able to force his way into the middle of the lane, and either he's getting that hook shot off or he's getting fouled. And he's just tremendous as an offensive weapon right now. And they're actually going to him. Actually, there was one point in the second quarter where Jonas caught the ball in the post and the Monroe fouled him. It was a non-shooting foul. And then, since it was a good matchup, Lowry immediately cleared the side of the floor. The ball got inbound and got Jonas into the post, and then just fed him again, and then he scored.
Yep. And I think they had 3. Lowry and Valanciunas hooked up on 3 really easy baskets where Lowry just being that step quicker and just being able to barrel into the lane a little bit. The defense collapses on him because he's getting all the way to the rim, and he just sort of handed the ball to Valanciunas for a couple just easy, just drop it right in from the weak side. It was very effective, and that's a real offensive weapon, and that's something where there's not a lot of scoring centers in the East. So if you don't have the lineup to play effective small ball, your only real counter to that is to be able to have a dominant center.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, sometimes I think we take Jonas's touch for granted. Like he's got great touch around the basket, and I think that you only have to look at his backup Unbowed, who, I mean, this is obviously the 19-point win. Like everyone looks good in a 19-point win, but Bismack Biyombo, man, he blew so many wide open layups in this game. People were booing him from my section. Like
it was impressive.
Yeah, actually, like it was just like wide open dunks, and like I don't know how you could be a big man who has like a 9'6" standing reach and you only shoot shots in the paint and end up 1 for 7 in the game.
It was fantastically bad how many times he was missing, like no joke, 6-inch shots. Yep. He's at the rim. He's at the same height as the rim where he's got the ball up. He just has to move it 6 inches, and he's missing gimme after gimme after gimme. It's impressive.
Yeah, he had this like putback that was like wide open for him, and all he had to do was dunk it, and it looked like he released the ball too late, and like he dunked and then the ball hit back iron / the glass. I don't know, I've never seen someone hit the glass on a dunk, and I think Biombo achieved that tonight. So yeah, this is the Bismack Biombo. So Blake Murphy had it. He's calling it the Bismack Biombo blown bunny counter, and it's already at 7 for the season. So
Wow.
yeah, we're gonna be tearing our hair out for Bismack Biombo on games like this. It doesn't really matter because we won by a ton anyway. But in tight games, if the Raptors end up losing, we might be looking back at Biombo being like, if you just made a couple more bunnies, we would be winning this game. So.
Speaking of counters, a thought occurred to me tonight when Michael Carter-Williams hit his first 2 3-pointers, which it should be pointed out, he airballed the next 2 and then just hit the side of the backboard on his fifth.
Yep.
But there was this talk when he hit the first 2 about anytime a bad shooter, and Michael Carter-Williams has been a historically bad shooter for an NBA starter. When he spent the summer really working on his 3-point game. If he can get that 3-pointer going, it really changes the kind of player he can be. And that's the storyline that we've heard for DeMar DeRozan for years now. Mm-hmm. I'm interested to see over the course of the season, because they're pretty close right now, can DeMar DeRozan hit more 3-pointers than Michael Carter-Williams? Because if Michael Carter-Williams can end up hitting more threes than DeMar, that is so damning.
Well, I mean, I guess it comes down to attempts too. We'll say this, like 3-point percentage.
3-point percentage?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
It's close now.
I've got hope. I've got hope for DeMar. He's got. You know what? He had a corner 3. You know what? This is a good transition. You know what? The Raptors. Actually, do you have anything else to say about the Bucks, or can we move on to?
Wait, let's move on by all means.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So the Bucks win came on Sunday. On Friday, the Raptors were on the road for their only road game so far. They traveled to Boston to see an old friend in Amir Johnson. They had some cute. Amir apparently came to the tunnel to greet all the Raptors players as they were coming into the TD Garden, and it was a very cute moment. You can check that out on Sportsnet. But yeah, during the game, it was a very cute moment for the Raptors because we won by 10. The Celtics can no longer could go somewhere. I'll say that much. We got a sponsor now, so I think we should swear a little bit less. Yeah, and in this game, I thought DeRozan. Again, he struggled from the field. He only shot 5 of 15, and a lot of them were like mid-range shots that we talk about this every time, but he should take less mid-range shots. But I thought he actually played really well. He got to the line 14 times, which is tremendous, and he also hit a corner 3, which is what you were saying earlier. Kind of confidently caught the ball and then realized where he was on the court. He was like, okay, I'm along the baseline. Took us 2 steps back, and then took the 3 and hit it. So. Yeah, what were your thoughts on the Boston game?
I thought it was all right. It looked, again, it's Boston's putting a lot of new pieces out there, and I think last week I called this a loss for us. I think Boston is going to be interesting and very difficult to beat later on in the season, but it looks like, much as it was the case last year, it's going to take them a little while to figure out where all of these incongruent pieces fit together and how they're best going to use that. And I mean, good for the Raptors for taking, I guess, but this week what they did was they played 3 teams that are really figuring out who they are after a lot of off-season change, and they executed against those teams and got wins that they're going to need to get moving into the road trip.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, these are the games that the Raptors should win objectively. You're going to blow a game against a lesser opponent here and there, but realistically, if the Raptors are where they were supposed to be, they have to beat the next tier of teams in the East. And this is the next tier, like Celtics, Pacers, Bucks, these are the next tier. And it's kind of sad, really. These teams are not that good. Yeah, I agree with you about the Celtics. I think that it will take time, but I think that their head coach, Brad Stevens, will figure it all out. Yeah, the one thing that comes back to with the Celtics every single time is just if you think of the Celtics' best 5-man unit, and you think who is that? That unit kind of sucks. It's Isaiah Thomas, Avery Bradley, Jay Crowder, David Lee, and Amir Johnson, and that's not a very good 5-man unit.
No, it's 3 guys. I think Marcus Smart might be in there ahead of Avery Bradley some nights, but it's 3 guys. Yeah. It's 3 guys that can play very good defense and give you offense sometimes, but not necessarily, and 2 guys that will give you absolutely no defense whatsoever, but can score very well. And that can be, if those guys are just hitting everything, then you're great. And if they're not hitting, then it's really hard to make up for their defensive liabilities.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, the Celtics, I don't think, it's only been 3 games, but I really don't think that that fervent talk about how the Celtics are going to overtake the Raptors for the Atlantic, which is super sad. Yeah, I think people are jumping the gun a little bit too much on that. The Celtics had a great run to end last season, but I think that they still have some very fundamental flaws. Who doesn't have many fundamental flaws, however, is Terrence Ross,
Nice.
who was awesome. No, I'm kidding. Terrence Ross has many fundamental flaws,
How
but
dare you?
Terrence Ross had a great game against the Celtics. He had 21 points off the bench. Really blew the game wide open in the fourth quarter when he just kind of went off. Had a couple drives to the basket, which, every Raptors fan knows this. Like, Terrence Ross is very shy of contact, and he does not drive. And he had a couple nice drives, a couple nice finishes, twice he got fouled on drives, which is, very rare to see. Once he made an N1. And, Terrence Ross, man, he just looked really great in the Celtics game. So,
Yeah, it's like he found one of Tyler Hansborough's old ephedrins in his gym bag and was like, "What was this? I'll try this out." And he just some aggression that's not usually there. It was really great to see because on nights when he does that, you see why he was a lottery pick.
yeah, for sure.
Not a franchise player, but a lottery pick.
Yeah, and he's supposed to have some talent, and I guess the talent is not always actualized, which is, I guess, the big problem with Terrence Ross. Actually, I was saying this to another person, a friend of mine. If you just put DeMar Carroll's brain into Terrence Ross, like, would Terrence Ross with DeMar Carroll's brain be any worse than DeMar Carroll with DeMar Carroll's brain?
Different player, but yeah, probably more effective. Definitely more effective than Terrence Ross.
Yeah. If you just if you played hard with good instincts, I think Terrence Ross would be tremendous. And yeah, we'll talk more about Terrence Ross later in the segment. The extension deadline's coming up on Monday, November 1st. No, November 2nd at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So the podcast will be out before then, but the Raptors might sign Terrence Ross to an extension. We'll talk about that segment too. But yeah, it's a good sign, man.
We'll record one version where, like, I can't believe the Raptors signed him to a max deal. That's insane. Another segment where really they should have given him something. I don't know about letting him walk into restricted free agency here.
Yeah. Definitely Terrence Ross is going to get a max deal.
No in between.
None. Yeah, you know what? Honestly, Terrence Ross is one of those guys where it's nice to no longer have to rely on Terrence Ross to give you productive, consistent production because we have a guy like DeMar Carroll. And DeMar Carroll was also great against the Celtics. He had 21 points on 8 of 16 shooting, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 35 minutes. Just very solid all-around play from DeMar Carroll. I thought he had a lot of great just cuts to the basket. Like, he's just such a smart, intuitive player. I mean, whatever. You could basically say, any player's, a good cutter, really, because, it's such a nebulous thing to say. But I think with Carroll, I think it's like you really see, the elite tier of what it means to be, a smart, intuitive cutter, because there'll just be things that, okay, Lowry and, Valanciunas will run a pick and roll on one side of the floor. Lowry's going to cut towards the middle. You're going to see a big man helping out on Lowry, and it's going to be a tough finish for him. And that's when DeMar Carroll just flashes. Instead of staying in the corner, he'll flash to the basket when he realizes Lowry's too deep in the paint for the kick out. And at that point, he can just, catch the ball and then do a tiny little hook. It's just very, very smart basketball. It's only been 3 games, but very, very excited about DeMar Carroll.
Yeah, he's leading the team in 3-point attempts this year too, and much as you're talking about with him cutting to the basket, it's the same kind of reason in that he knows how to get himself into position where he's ready for the kick out or the third pass that's going to lead him to an available spot. And the Raptors are really, really limited with 3-point shooting this year, and they need anything he can give them. And he's been knocking them down and getting himself open for a lot of shots. It's been great.
Yeah. There was that one concern from the offseason about could DeMar Carroll's 3-point shots carry over, because when he played in Atlanta, obviously they had a better offensive system.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I think that DeMar Carroll's just still getting open shots. They're a little bit different. They're not all spot ups, but a lot of them transition or just kickouts and stuff. But I think the quality of his 3-point looks are pretty good. I don't know about you.
No, he's getting quality 3-point shots. That's what I'm talking about. He knows how to get himself into position to get a good shot and to make himself available for it. And that's part of what he learned playing in that system. And the other side of that is, it's not a small sample size that we saw from him in Atlanta. It wasn't a guy who never shot and then took, like 40 shots a season. Like in those 2 years, he put up a lot of attempts and made that a big part of his game. And after a certain point, it's not just that he's the product of the system. It's also that he's put in a wealth of time practicing that shot, both off the or like outside of games and in games as well, where he's just really comfortable putting up 3-pointers.
Yeah. Okay. Well, actually, yeah. Let's transition to the first game of the season against the Pacers. Carroll was a big part of that too. He held Paul George in check to 5 on 17 shooting in the game, and the Raptors escaped with a 7-point win. It was a bit dicey towards the end, but I mean the Raptors played with the lead the whole time. So yeah, I guess it's weird. Not too much stands out for me from the Pacers game. It just felt pretty routine. Like the Pacers, I don't think they're a good team at all. Their front line's really bad, and they're really confused as to how they're playing. Yeah, what are your thoughts on the Pacers, man? This new look small ball Pacers squad.
Yeah, I thought that they would be able to. I thought that the 4 guys they have playing outside with George, a perimeter player, playing power forward, would really be able to make up for a lot of the problems they have in the middle, and then they could turn themselves into a bit of an offensive force quicker than they have been able to. They look bad. Like the Raptors didn't look fantastic in this game in taking the win, but like Indiana looks like that's going to be a major work in progress. That's not a few subtle changes they need to figure out to get where they need to be. I don't like they definitely don't have an idea of how to use these guys yet. It's not that they're not used to how they're going to play. Like if they can put it together, which I think is possible, they've got some really smart people on that team. They're well coached and they're going to play hard, but they do not have the blueprint yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it could work out eventually. I just think that Monte Ellis kind of sucks, especially when you take him out of a rigid system like Rick Carlisle had him in Dallas. And man, he's looked just unplayable.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to be their big offseason addition. So.
And I guess
the Pacers, man, they're not very good. Sorry.
No, like Monte Ellis really has thrived the most when he had like someone like Tyson Chandler or someone like that who can do the rim runs where you have to at least respect the roll man, and that kind of opened up his game a little bit more to get closer to the hoop with that hesitation quick step he has, or to pull up from a little bit closer. And like there's no respect for Jan Mahinmi setting screens, and Paul George is not really that enthusiastic of a screen setter right now, and doesn't I think him as a power forward is an interesting idea on a matchup basis more than an every night basis, and especially when he looks like he doesn't really want to be doing it.
Yeah, for sure. It's also different, man. Like if you're on the other side of that pick and roll, like you're the ball handler. Like I know these guys are basketball players and like they're skilled beyond any of what what we can ascribe to them, but like they still struggle in these new situations, man. And it's not just that easy to just port a guy from one position to the other. Like he has to learn the system. So yeah, maybe the Pacers improve as the year goes along. I can't imagine Monte will play this poorly the whole time, but yeah, the Pacers, I think they need to make a trade for a big. And Miles Turner, by the way, the rookie looks really good. Mm-hmm. But I mean, how much can you really count a 19-year-old center to rookie center to be the backbone of a defense that's completely reshaped? So
exactly.
Anyway,
he didn't play in the Raptors game either, did he?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, Jordan Hill got a lot of run. He's bad. Yeah. Okay. Enough about the shitty Pacers. All right. Let's wrap up segment 1 with standout player. Just any player that's really stood out. I'm gonna go with Terrence Ross. I don't know how many of you guys follow me on Twitter, but
your boy Terrence Ross.
He's my boy Terrence Ross. I have assimilated my fandom of Terrence Ross into my Twitter brand, and currently I'm very much in on Terrence Ross. He's just a nice surprise now. This is what I said earlier. Basically, it's just like it's nice to no longer have to rely on Terrence Ross, because if you just don't need Terrence Ross, then you just get positively surprised by games like against the Celtics where he just looks great. He has the whole arsenal working, and yeah, I'm a little bit more confident about, or not confident. I'm a little bit more optimistic about his role ability to produce as a backup, sort of 6th, 7th man type role. I think he's providing enough scoring off the bench. It's forcing him to handle the ball a little bit more, and it's cool because he does have some ball handling skills, and he can do something with the defense if he operates a pick and roll. And I think that there are still some 3-point opportunities for him on the bench. And when he plays with the starters, I think he gets a little bit more spot ups. So I think we're going to see, I think we're just going to feel better about Terrence Ross because we have the Marco here. And hopefully, if he does take the next step in his development, that's pure gravy to have a guy like that come off the bench and be able to play small sometimes too. So
I'm glad you and T. Ross are back together. This continues your Whitney Houston, Bobby Brown relationship with Terrence.
And in this case, I am unfortunately Whitney.
I think so. Yeah. No, I'm the one of the only guys who made it clear coming into the season that I was holding on to my T. Ross stock. I'm very happy with my portfolio right now. It's looking good. This is the first year that we've treated him the way you ought to treat a rookie shooting guard, which is trying to give him opportunities to handle the ball a little bit in positions where he's more comfortable. Like, don't have him going up against other opposing starters. Maybe try to run something where you're getting him a chance to get into space and then establish himself against guys that aren't that great, so he has confidence when he's trying to attack against someone who is a starting level. Maybe don't yank him after every bad possession. Give him an opportunity to find himself. And why don't I actually let him play shooting guard too? Like, this is the first time he's getting real minutes at his natural position, and to do so against a backup set where like he should be able to overmatch against a team's second or third string shooting guard on most nights. He's going to have an athletic advantage over those guys. He's a knockdown shooter. We've seen him shoot really well so far this year. This is kind of what I think would have been a better way to sort of ease him in. And one of the knocks on Casey so far his entire Toronto tenure has been his sort of mismanagement of young talent as far as putting them in a position to succeed instead of punishing them for not succeeding in the position that you need them to play. So, I think that he's in a position to finally, make us happy as fans, because the key to success is to underpromise and overdeliver, and that's what he's able to do now. So
that's right. We'll talk about Terrence Ross a little bit more in the next segment. That we promised twice now. Who's your most impressive player or so far?
JV, we talked about it a little bit earlier this year, but he looks comfortable, he looks assertive, and he looks physically stronger. Like I talked about it a little bit before, but one of the reasons why he's able to assert himself in the post so much more dominantly than he has in the past isn't just that he's confident in his shot, but if you kind of look, it seems like he's getting the ball 2-3 feet closer to the basket. Like, part of the problems with him, he's always had great touch, but 2 years ago, it was really hard for him to sort of get sets going because he was getting pushed all the way out from the low post into sort of the high post more, or near the baseline, just because he wasn't strong enough to hold position and to get a placement there. And he's getting the ball in lower. They're looking for him. He's not feeling like he has to rush something because he's not going to get a shot otherwise, or I don't know what, but he looks comfortable. It's a little bit fluid. He's got amazing touch, and it's very satisfying to watch him actually be utilized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Jonas, I've definitely been down on Jonas in the past. I still see Jonas as a little bit of an awkward fit in the modern NBA. I'm not entirely sure where a player like he fits into the this era of like 3-pointers and space and being quick in transition and stuff. It just, Jonas seems like a matchup type player, but the positive side is that his defense has looked much better now that the Raptors have gone to an ice system. He's not giving up points nearly as much anymore, and granted, he hasn't really played against too many dynamic guards in his first 3 games, so I guess his toughest test was Isaiah Thomas, and I thought he did a pretty good job protecting the basket, even against Isaiah Thomas, who's super tiny. It'll be interesting to see, I guess, when Jonas goes up against like a shooter like Dirk, where he has to come out to the perimeter a bit more. But in the meantime, if Jonas can be more palatable defensively, like if he can actually fit a scheme better, which I think so far the returns are very positive. Blake's wrote about that. That's really good for Jonas's validity in this league, because now you can just you can use him as an effective weapon on the post, like we just said. He's getting better post position. He's able to get to his spots better. He's got a little counter going. Who knows what happens with that jump shot, and maybe he becomes a better passer. But the most important thing I think for me is just like, if he can actually stay on the floor defensively, this is a huge development for him.
Yeah, and I think that having him hang back on the pick and rolls and the team forcing everything outside and bluing it or icing it is
It's working really well.
It's working really well. I think it's contributing to his confidence. Like he's not getting beat defensively, and you're not seeing that carry over emotionally to the offensive side of the court. Like he seems. I think that's contributing to him feeling more comfortable in general on the floor, and I think that's. I mean, small sample size here, but I think that's part of the reason why we've seen such a positive uptick in the team's defensive rebounding percentage as well, which was a massive liability last year.
Yeah. I was gonna write about this actually, but
Oops.
I would be sort of tracking it. But basically, it's just a byproduct of icing pick and rolls. Like you keep the big man back, if that makes them closer to the basket when the shot goes up. That's pretty simple, and it's helping the rebounding. The Raptors are. Let me just check really quickly in terms of defensive rebounding percentage.
First place.
Are they first place? Oh my God, the Toronto Raptors are first place. Holy shit! Yeah, that's huge. And they're fourth in defensive rebounding percentage, but they're first in rebounding percentage overall. So
okay.
That's tremendous, and I think a lot of that is Jonas, and credit to Jonas for that. So, all right, so this first segment has gone on tremendously long. We're gonna come back in segment 2 with a little bit of talk on Terrence Ross, as we now promised 3 times, and answer some of your Twitter questions. Welcome to segment 2 of the podcast, where we're going to talk about Terrence Ross. Finally, Mr. Terrence Ross, who is entering the 4th year he is currently in the 4th year of his rookie scale contract, and there is a deadline coming up today when you're listening to it at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, when Terrence Ross can sign an extension with the Raptors. If he doesn't sign the extension, then he becomes a restricted free agent next summer, provided the Raptors tender him a contract, which they will. Terrence Ross, it's an interesting extension candidate just because he's been so inconsistent throughout his career. If you know what, if the progression of Terrence Ross's career were like if he had last season as his second season and his second season as his third season, I think he definitely gets the extension. But it just hasn't been very linear with him. He's been kind of up and down, and so. I mean, it's going to be a little bit expensive with Terrence Ross, but I don't know. Andrew, like, would you give him an extension? And B, how much would you give him?
That's an interesting question. I think that's one reason why we haven't seen a lot of extensions so far this fall, and there's a lot of teams that are really freaking out, kind of figuring out what to do because the marketplace is all over the place. Like, players and GMs alike seem to be responding with one of, like, as far as inside sources are being reported by all sorts of national writers on the NBA, is that whenever some of these ridiculous contracts are coming out, you're seeing the reaction either be like, are you serious? Like, what? Or something like, not surprised by that based on the numbers we have, and the more and more contracts you're seeing for guys like Alec Burks or what are some of the other ridiculous contracts that have like Tristan Thompson, all of these contracts that are coming out for guys who are second tier or third tier, fourth tier players, but are getting paid more than John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins, because the way the cap is blowing up and the way that all of these teams are set to have money, no one is really positive on how they should be allotting that, and they're still trying to figure that out. And that's making some teams gun shy, and that's making other teams do crazy things. And in restricted free agency, that's where you can have the problem of the Raptors deciding they need to hold on to someone like Terrence Ross because they don't have an ability to bring in another good shooting guard, and then Portland or someone decides to throw a very silly number at him, and now you have the choice of having to match that or not. And if I was the Raptors, I would be concerned about if Terrence has a good season, with almost every team in the league having near max cap space, someone just throwing an unreasonable contract on him, and you might end up losing him for nothing or having to overpay him. I think that there's a window right now, if he's willing to do so, to sign him to a number that seems crazy until we get to next year and see what everyone is signing for, and then think what he would have gotten in the summer, and it becomes more palatable. But
okay, give me a number that you think is palatable for both sides, obviously.
I'd say like 4 for 35. Like, what's the Corey Joseph contract? Is that something like that?
430.
Yeah, something like probably like 4 for 35.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I had a proposal of like 224 with like a team option for the third, but that's probably way too cheap. At the time, actually, I got scolded by Blake for it because he's like, Blake was I talked to him in the summer about this, and he was like, "Nah, this is a stupid idea. Terrence Ross is terrible." But then, report came out on Sunday night from Mark Stein that apparently the Hornets are closing in on a 3-year, $21 million extension for Jeremy Lamb.
Yeah.
And if you're not familiar with Jeremy Lamb, he's just basically a poor man's Terrence Ross. So
Not even.
Think about that for a second. A poor man's Terrence Ross. You know how Terrence Ross has like a good game once every 5 games? Jeremy Lamb doesn't have a good game. Ever.
It's like Terrence Ross, except imagine if at the end of the season where you're like, he's not even a good 3-point shooter, and then you're like, oh, actually Terrence Ross did shoot 39% from 3 this year. That's very good. Imagine looking and it was like 33, 32. You're like, no, he is actually just a trash can. Jeremy Lamb is either going to sign a $21 million deal with the Hornets or get cut from the Syracuse basketball team because he's not playing there either. Like he's not good.
Yeah. So, yeah, my thoughts are most of the same as you in the Terrence Ross extension. Like, if we can lock him into the palatable number, I think we should. I promise it's not just a 3-game, sample size we've seen out of Ross so far. So far, he's been good. He's had 2 sort of ho-hum games and 1 pretty good game. So, just overall, I think that if we can lock a young talent like Ross into a cheaper contract, I think that the Raptors should take that opportunity. And it's gonna, if it looks bad, the cap is gonna rise again the next summer. So basically, relative to Terrence Ross is like real cost relative to the salary cap is gonna get lower and lower. So unless you anticipate him getting worse and worse in value, I think he's gonna be fine. He's almost basically he's destined to live up to that contract based on how the cap environment goes. So
where the cap environment is going, if he just does what he's doing right now, and even is not on as big of a deal, if he is the 6th or 7th guy off the bench and he's not necessarily a ball handler, he's just a very good spot up 3-point shooter who can play some defense when he's locked in, but might get lost at times. That guy is going to be making $8 or $9 million a year in
that
the
guy's
NBA.
name is Jeremy Lamb, and he's going to be making $7 million a year.
It's crazy, and you have to look at the opportunity cost of whether or not you decide right now if you want him on your team moving forward, even if just in the role he's playing right now. Because the reality is if you don't extend him, then it's more likely than not that you're going to end up either losing him for nothing or having to overpay him once he hits free agency.
Yep. Yeah, we're in agreement, and it's weird. I swear if the cap wasn't going up, this wouldn't be that difficult. I think we would just let Terrence Ross walk into restricted free agency, but man, the contracts going around right now are crazy.
It's the Wild West.
It is. Okay, yeah. We're just gonna move over to answer some of your podcast questions. So I put this question out, and let's take some questions. The first one comes from Raps fan for life. 10 of the next 12 are on the road and a tough stretch early. What record do Raps need, and what is one thing you like to see on it? So, the Raptors do have a ton of road games. I guess we're going to preview the next week's game, or this week's slate of games in the next segment 3. But, it's a tough road schedule to be sure, and I think anytime you're on the road, man, you just kind of want to go 500. And while their opponents aren't too tough, it's still on the road. And I think that the one thing the Raptors have going for them is that they have continuity in terms of their 3 core players are still the same, and they've seen head coach and stuff. And I think early in the season, having continuity is a benefit. And I think that's going to play into an early advantage. It's not going to matter against teams like OKC, who are going to smack the Raptors. Spoiler alert for segment 3. But, I think as long as they go 500, man, on these road games, I think they're set. Because basically, after they go through the stretch, they'll be fine. The schedule kind of softens up.
Yeah, I agree. Like when you have a long road stretch, especially with some of the teams in there being a lot tougher, you want to go 500. If you can go better than 500, then like la-di-da, life is amazing, but you're going to lose some of those games. You accept that. I call a win coming back from this trip without any injuries and just continuing to look confident. As long as they're continuing to get more comfortable in the schemes that they're executing on both sides, making intelligent passes, making the ball move around on offense, and figuring out their roles a little bit more on defense. It's not like even if they go less than 500 on a road trip, it's at the start of the season, you just want to see that your guys are staying healthy and starting to figure out how to play together and doing so quicker than other teams, because 2 or 3 losses at this point of the year is not going to make a big difference.
Yeah. Okay, the next question comes from Mohammed at Mo Square, who says, "Why is Jack Armstrong?" I'm not sure what he means by this.
No, no, I
Did
think I
Jack say something
understand
objectionable?
exactly. Just like
Oh, okay.
I'm on the I can't stand Jack Armstrong bandwagon. I've been driving that train for a few years. I watch games in mute sometimes. I love when they're on the national broadcast just to hear competent people speak. But I have a
Oof.
quote from tonight's game from
Oh
Jack
no.
Armstrong, which I think is fascinating. So
All right.
here's Jack Armstrong. Rome wasn't built in a day. How long did it take to build Rome? Does anyone know? There's a Twitter question for you. I always say that about Rome to my friends, but nobody really knows. Thanks, Ramps. There was at no point did Matt
Whew.
Devlin jump in and he just let him die on that strange meandering road of nonsense that he was going down.
What do you think Devlin would have said, like enthusiastically, like, well, actually, it took 625 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in his head he was just like, I really don't know. It sounds like a dumb question, Jack. It's a figure of speech. Let's not investigate this.
You know what?
Save that for the shuffleboard game.
Man, I want to defend Jack. I mean, definitely a lot of the things he says are objectionable, and it gets my nerves sometimes. I think that the best way to take on Jack is like the way I approached Charles Barkley, which is just he's a lovable personality, and you don't listen to any of the in-game analysis because at least personally, I disagree with a lot of his points. So,
yeah,
yeah, Jack's been very nice to Raptors Republic in the past. So
let me walk that back and just say that, like, look,
Jack's a fine man.
I stand by my criticism because it's completely valid, but
he's not listening to this, man.
He's not listening to it, but also, like, I think if you just watched it, once or twice, if you just saw him do a broadcast, you'd be like, that guy's silly, but man, he's into it. He seems like a really nice guy. It's just when you watch 82 games of that and you're like, I just can't. I can't.
Yeah, it grates on you. So
I
hear you. I hear both sides on this. Yeah. Okay, then the next question comes from TRR, the Raj at the Raj. Cool. What will the Raptors' first loss be against? I think we both agree it's going to be against the Thunder when they play on Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's the second night of a back-to-back. Like they're done. Okay. Question against the next one from Triangle M. Great. Thanks for having a triangle in your name.
It's like a late night show game where just read Twitter names.
Yeah, it's difficult. At Andy_my. Does anyone have worse hands than Bismack? I can't think of any. In the league, honestly, Bismack might have the worst hands in the league, and it looks like at one point he like was left in the cold for a very long time, and he like lost sensation in his fingers, and he's just like, this is instead of us making fun of him, we should actually be commending him on making this tremendous recovery.
Yeah, like, did you guys see the Jason Pierre-Paul photo? Like, it's impressive that guy is still able to play basketball.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, no, Bismack's hands are very bad. But you know what? Defensively, I think he's looked fine. And he collected 10 rebounds on Sunday night against the Bucks in 17 minutes, man. That's all you want from Bismack is to play defense.
The points from him that like the free baskets that you get from him are supposed to be gravy, and we saw him miss those tonight. Like, I can't imagine that he's going to miss 4 shots from 6 inches on a regular basis. Like, it's going to continue happening in general, but I got to think that he puts in 2 or 3 of those 4 shots on a regular basis, that he gets them moving forward. I would hope. Please.
Yeah. All right. Let's just take 2 more questions. If we didn't get to your question, we apologize. We'll ask it again on the next podcast. And some of the questions we have kind of answered throughout the podcast anyway. Okay, this one from Keith Wall at Forever Raptor. Here's a question. Yeah, that one's pretty easy.
Good read.
The Forever
Good read,
Raptor. Here's a question. How will this D hold up against a team that can kick it back and shoot the 3? That's very fair because ice defenses against like a stretch 4, it's gonna be a little bit more difficult for sure. And teams will definitely try to use that against Jonas, and they'll try to use that against Scola as well. But honestly, man, I think this is one of the biggest things about the Raptors is that now, if it is like a wing that they put out as on the 4, then you have DeMar Carroll to step in, and I think we saw a little bit of the small ball lineup and against Boston. And while it wasn't super effective, the thinking behind the lineup was good. Like, they had Corey Joseph in there as an extra wing, and they slid DeMar Carroll to the 4, and then they had either Bismack or Jonas at center. And I think that lineup works fine. Yeah, it's gonna be you're still gonna see the same problems when you put Jonas out in the perimeter, and teams will definitely try to capitalize on that. But I think with DeMar Carroll guarding, being able to play the small ball four, I think it's not too big of a problem. But we'll see. It's a
No,
good test.
and it's worth noting too that when they play a team with four genuine shooters on the floor, and that fourth shooter is also an actual big man, like ice is going to be a problem against that. But
Mhm.
the NBA hasn't figured out what defense does not get torched by
Exactly.
four really good shooters, and
This
one of them
problem
being a
is
real big man. Like that's you're going to get lit up by that team.
yeah, this is a universal problem right now. So I don't know, man. Maybe we're just running up against the limits of basketball. Like the way the dynamics of basketball are played, like if you have five shooters and they're all going to play pick and roll at some point, it's going to be hard to defend that. And I guess like the ultimate form you see is like the Warriors. So
Yeah,
yeah, it'll be an interesting test though, because we'll definitely see a lot of those matchups in this upcoming week. Dallas obviously has stretch four and Dirk, and Ibaka can really shoot for OKC.
Miami.
Miami,
Where they're
Chris
running Chris
Bosh.
Bosh out for like he's gonna be in the league leaders in 3-point attempts at this rate.
Yeah, it's weird. So, yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it'll work. I guess against in these types of matchups, I guess Carroll's gonna be very difficult. So I guess we're gonna need to see if the power forward spot can hold up. Cam Patterson and Scola guard effectively at the perimeter. Um, okay. And the last one, let's just go with Chan Revere at Dose of Dylan. Um, if you can have one wish and come true, it'd be peace for me and for you.
Was that a sentence?
I don't know.
Thank
This
you
is
for your question, Sean Revere.
yeah, this is a bad question to take. So, all right, that wraps up segment 2 of the podcast. We're gonna come back and preview next week's games. Okay, yeah, welcome back to the Raptors Weekly Podcast for the part 3. I'm here with Andrew, and during the break, I realized that we have not yet spoken about Dwayne Casey and the fact that he reached a milestone on Sunday with the win over the Bucks. That was his 157th as a head coach of the Toronto Raptors, which makes him the winningest head coach in Raptors history. He was previously tied with Sam Mitchell at 156. Yeah, this is it's a little bit sad actually. As an aside, that the Raptors winning as head coach is 157 wins
You're
in
telling me
four
that a
seasons.
franchise that continues to hang Atlantic Division Championship banners up in the rooftops
Mm.
doesn't have an overly impressive history of winning?
This is yeah no it's a little bit sad. The bar is super set pretty low, but I think on the bright side, I think we should commend Casey for
Sure.
um at times we've definitely griped about him on this podcast, and he definitely has his shortcomings, but he's done a pretty solid job with the Raptors, and it's good that he has his title now because when you look back on it, I think Dwayne Casey is the best coach we've ever had with the
Yeah,
Raptors.
for sure. Like it's definitely not Sam Mitchell. Like Sam Mitchell didn't win
Oh yeah,
156 games. Vince Carter did. Like that was and Chris Bosh or like Sam Mitchell's not a great coach, and Dwayne Casey is. I think arguably. I'm trying to think of someone who would be better than him. I think we can stand by him being
the best
like
coach in
hands
Raptors
down the
history.
most competent coach we've had.
Yeah. So, yeah, and that's crazy because we complain about Dwayne Casey all the time, and I think we have rightful reason for that. But hey, congratulations to Coach Casey. I think this quote from DeMar DeRozan is quite nice on Casey. DeMar's the one player that Casey's coached the most. Quote: It's definitely great. I'm happy for him. He's a player's coach. He's one of those guys that always keeps you in a positive mindset. Go out there and you play for him. You can't do nothing but play hard for him because you understand that he's going to have your back throughout the good and the bad. And yeah, you know what? He has been very good to the players. Certain players he hasn't.
Yeah,
He's kind of old school like that. He doesn't really play the young guys. And I don't know whatever happened with him and James Johnson, but for the most part, his players play really hard for him. And as a coach, as any sort of manager of people, your goal is just to maximize those people and keep them happy. And I don't know if he necessarily maximized them at all points, but he's kept lots of them happy. So yeah.
now that we've said something nice about Casey, let me ask this:
By the
Is
way, that was like the most side of the mouth sort of praise I've had for anyone.
well
Yeah.
done, well done.
You know what? Here's what I think about Casey. All right,
Yeah.
Dwayne Casey as a Raptors head coach is 157 and 158, and that's
Nice.
500 basically. And I think he's just an average coach.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
a nice man.
Yeah, with the fantastic old man suit game. Like I'm
Yes.
kind of teasing him when I say old man suit game, but also I absolutely adore his wardrobe choices. It's strong and I like it.
Yeah.
Players coach, is that one of the most empty cliches in sports? Which is like sports media is more so than any other walk of life, just full of empty cliches. But does anyone know what players coach means? And like we just hear that thrown out, players coach. Like all these people on TV.
What's the alternative?
Yeah, and by the way, who is described as, he's not a player's coach. He is not.
Yeah.
Who's ever been called,
we
in a little thing underneath, it's like, here's the names. He's, focus on defense, like hard guy, and then beneath, like, not a player's coach. Like what, all these people who say on TV, like not just players, but like I would love to have a follow-up question where after DeMar said that, he's like, DeMar, what makes someone a player's coach? What is a player's coach? Be like, look, like, are we really calling out on people for having to explain their cliches now? Is that what we're doing? Because no one knows what player's coach means.
Yeah. Look, this segment is a congratulatory segment for Dwayne Casey, and we have failed in our complete optimism for him. So, yeah, let's just wrap it up with congrats, Coach Casey. He's done a good job, and when we look back on it, between all the gripes, he has undeniably done a good job with this team, and
sure.
We'll leave it at that. Okay, so this week, Dwayne Casey and his Raptors have 4 games on the schedule. They're all on the road, starting with on Tuesday, they're in Dallas to visit the Mavericks. I don't know, man. The Mavericks, they're so banged up. Like, they finally got Chandler Parsons and Wesley Matthews back, but they don't look that great.
No, I think they're bad. Like, I kind of think they're bad.
The Mavericks are bad.
Like, Dirk can shoot, but Dirk can't really move, and, like, he can't.
They're trying to play Dirk 26 minutes a game. And, if you look at the rest of their roster, no. That team cannot win. No,
they should just put Dirk in a cryogenic chamber until they're ready to go to the playoffs again, because that man can still shoot and he can make some moves, and again, like when you run a pick and roll on the outside with him, it's really difficult to guard, but his body is used up and their team is not good.
Yeah, okay, look, we're not going to go too long on this, but the Mavericks guard rotation is Deron Williams, Raymond Felton, John Jenkins, who actually looks kind of good so far, but it's still John Jenkins, and like JJ Barea and who's that other guy that's always there, Devin Harris. So none of those guys are good, man.
No,
and like the
JJ
front court
Barea
is even
Felton
worse.
are taking shots for this team too.
Yeah,
like
Felton,
it's not just like they're playing; like they're eating a lot of possessions.
Oh, Felton's eating. Felton's eating. All right. So yeah, I think we're both gonna confidently chalk this up as a win for the Raptors. Even though it's on the road, it's gonna be tough. I mean, you gotta give Dirk respect, but yeah, ultimately the Raptors have a lot more talent, and these injured players, like, okay, they're back, but like they didn't even play in training camp and stuff. It's gonna be hard for them to get in a rhythm, and there are a lot of new pieces. So
and microfracture and an Achilles tear are two injuries that like. You can be back to movement, but you've lost a lot of your explosive ability coming out of those 2 surgeries. So
for sure, but the Raptors on Wednesday on the second night of a back-to-back, they have to play in OKC. So yeah,
on the plus side, question, we get to watch Westbrook and Durant play. That's neat.
Sure. Well, they'll play for 20 minutes when they're plus 40 during that time. Look, I want to see the Raptors play tough those games. I think that we both agree this is gonna be a loss, right?
Yeah.
I think there's just like small takeaways I want to see from the game. So like I want to see how DeMar Carroll performs defending Durant. I think that's gonna be huge. I want to see if you can like stay with him, effective shot in a way, because like Durant is fully back, by the way. It's quite terrifying, but against great defenders, man. Like Kawhi Leonard, for example, in the first game, like Kawhi Leonard just like straight up had his like blocked Durant a couple times, which is so hard to do because he's a 7-footer with ridiculously long arms and he can jump. But yeah, I just want to see like how impactful DeMar Carroll's defense can be against an elite player like Durant. And yeah, just otherwise, man, I hope no one gets injured in this loss. It's the second night of a back-to-back on the road against OKC. Like,
man, you're forgetting about the Enes Kanter versus Jonas Valanciunas battle, though. That's a little mini rivalry those two guys have. I love watching them bang against each other, and Jonas has gotten the better of it too.
Jonas is much better than Enes Kanter.
So much better than Enes Kanter. And by the way, like to go back to our conversation about before, like anyone who thinks that that Terrence Ross isn't going to get money from somebody just needs to look at the Enes Kanter thing that happened this last summer, where they had to give him all of the money because Portland offered him most of the money.
Yeah. The way to think about Enes Kanter is that he's like Jonas on offense, but like Bargnani on defense.
Yeah.
That is not worth $70 million. I don't care how much the cap is going up. So yeah, I think we both had that down as a loss. So they have a day off, and then they go on Friday. They travel to Orlando to take on the Orlando Magic, who are actually playing teams pretty
Orlando
tough.
Magic.
Yeah, quite plucky. They played OKC, the team that we just blew on the podcast. They played them to double overtime, and they end up losing, but whatever. It's still very impressive for a young team. Today they played the Bulls tough as well, so. And they played the Wizards tough too, so they've had a really tough go of it. I think they're winless, but they look better than the record suggests.
Yeah, Peyton and Oladipo are the kind of guys that will they don't take nights off. They go really, really hard, and they're really competitive. And besides that, this team is sneaky deep and on the wing with athletes, like just crazy athletes. Like to the degree that they let Mo Harkless walk because they didn't have a roster spot for him.
Also Mo Harkless sucks.
Yeah, he's Mo Harkless. Like, look, I tried to let him have that. You got to take it away from him. How could you be Mo Harkless?
I'm very Mo Harkless.
So, but no, Hezonja is interesting, and Aaron Gordon's coming off the bench, and they're not even really playing Channing Frye, and that's a guy who's going to end up getting traded at some point this year, I think, and becoming interesting. He's bad, but he can do something at least.
He's not going to do anything. He's not going to play. This is an interesting team. Like, they play really hard for Coach Skiles, and that's just something that Coach Skiles always does. Like, he's like this drill sergeant. You know what? We were talking about players coaches. He is not a players coach.
No.
He and that's not to say that it's bad or anything. He just works his players really hard, and his players really respond to that. I think so far, they've lost 3 games, but they lost by a combined 9 points.
Yeah.
Like that, that's just heartbreakers to lose 3 games by 9 points combined. So it's gonna be very tough. But honestly, man, I think that the Raptors should be able to beat them. I think it'll be a tough game that comes kind of down on the wire, which is kind of weird. But I think the Raptors just have more talent and more continuity with the team. And I think that with their smaller 2 guards, I think DeRozan's gonna go into the post and get Oladipo in the foul trouble. I think that's gonna be the biggest thing of stopping those Magic offenses, just to get Oladipo off the court, because they're kind of a little bit light on playmakers. And as much as Elfrid Payton is exciting, he's not a good shooter. So
yeah.
And
I think if DeMar's going to want to take Oladipo into the post as well, because if he's trying to work around the perimeter on him with the ball, you're going to end up seeing some turnovers there. Yeah. Oladipo is a swarming defender around the perimeter, and DeMar bounced the ball off his foot twice early on in the game tonight again. So.
Yeah. So I think we're calling this a win, right?
I think so. I think it's greater than 50% chance that they win this game, though. It's not like I'm like, they'll steamroll them.
Cool. Okay, and then the Raptors get another night off, and they will be in South Beach to take on the Miami Heat. I'm worried about this game. Not necessarily because of the Heat, but because the Raptors will be spending Saturday night a day off in South Beach. And I don't know. I think I'm going to call this one a loss. What do you think?
Miami is interesting. Like, Miami is that team that no one really knows what to expect from, as far as ceiling basement goes. They won tonight. They were down big when I checked the score, and somehow they ended up winning by almost by 20 points. They had a
60 to 26 second half. No, 62 to 26 second half. Which, by the way, the Rockets look like they're in trouble. But whatever. Who cares about the Rockets? We care about the Raptors.
Yeah, that's right.
Raptors.
Goran Dragic is kind of figuring out the pick and roll a little bit with those guys, and that is a little bit dangerous if they can do that. And I think it's funny the way that these little storylines work, but Saturday night in Miami is a very real thing. Like, that's one of the reasons why it was so impressive that the Knicks have been as bad as they've been the last few years, because they host so many Sunday afternoon games.
Oh yeah. The Raptors will play at 6. p.m. So like hopefully their hangovers will be over by then. But I'll just say this much: I don't think Terrence Ross is gonna have a great game in this one. Family man DeMar DeRozan will have a good game, I think. But yeah, I just don't like the matchups in this game the way it's presented. Like DeRozan so far found the most success in the post, and I think Dwayne Wade is just a very crafty defender, especially if you don't make a move around and run through screens and stuff. If he's just like standing there in the post, he's stronger than DeRozan. He's gonna be able to hold him up. He's not gonna be biting on those fakes. Hassan Whiteside was just destroyed Jonas the last time they played. I think Jonas fouled out in like 13 minutes, and Hassan just had a 25 and 15 game, I think, on like 12, 15 shooting and like 4 blocks and stuff. So yeah, Hassan Whiteside's a monster.
As long as he doesn't get pulled to the bench in the first 3 minutes of the game. Like
that's right, yeah. The best case with Hassan is you just try to anger him or something. Let's get beyond
actual thing. Like Scola, and this is one of the things that like Scola needs to just piss him off early and often.
We need Bennett to take one for the team, man. Tyler Hansbrough would have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember when Hansbrough went at Festus Ezeli when we were down 40 against the Warriors that one time? We need that early in the game.
Remember that one time where Hansbrough pissed off Meta World Peace and then realized it was Meta World Peace and had that face where it looks like he sees ghosts?
Yeah, he had a road to Damascus moment. So yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be tough. I think I'm gonna say they lose this game, but I think it'll be a close fought game. I think Lowry versus Goran Dragic is gonna be really interesting. I love when Lowry plays against one of his former teammates who like he did a timeshare with. Like and when he plays Mike Conley and Dragic again in Houston, I think that he's gonna come up really aggressive and try to look for his own shot, and I think that's gonna be cool to see.
Yeah. Joshua Roberts, Raptor Killer,
and also one of my favorites. He's going to be a pivotal piece for that Heat team off the bench.
He's playing like 5 minutes a game for them right now. It's not getting a lot of space.
They're front court stacked, man. Like, what are you going to do? Like, bench Bosch or Whiteside? You can't really do that. So, yeah, I don't know. What are you saying? Do you think this is a win or loss?
Let's mark it down as an L.
Okay, all right. So we both have the Raptors.
Under promise, over deliver.
That's right. Yeah. So we have the Raptors 2-2 in the week. We have them winning in Dallas, losing in OKC, getting smacked in OKC, winning in Orlando, and then losing in Miami. And then hopefully the Raptors can return home after that because, yeah, man, it's tough to play 4 straight games on the road in the second week of the season. But hopefully that continuity benefits them. And let me just quickly check the schedule. Do they come home? Yes.
The
Raptors come home after that.
It's like Knicks, Sixers, banged up Pelicans, Kings. Like it's a good stretch of 4 games before going on another really rough stretch.
Oh God, what the hell, man? The Clippers, the Warriors. Yeah, okay, whatever. Let's just as long as the Raptors survive unscathed and with a 500 record on the road. So, yeah. I think that does it for this week. Thanks for Andrew for coming on, and yeah, next week you'll hear Zarar in this role. As the host. So thanks for listening to the Raptors Weekly Podcast, and go Raptors 3-0, baby.
Have a week.